सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ इत्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ॐ इति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् संभवस्तु सतः अनुपपत्तेः सतः संभवः असंभवः सतः उत्पत्तिः असंभवा। That there cannot be utpatti or creation of Sat or existence, meaning Brahman cannot be created anupatte because it is not logical, it is not in keeping with the reasoning that Brahman also can be born. Viyat pavanayoho asambhavyamana janmanoh api utpattim upashrutya. Somebody from the previous two adhikaranas, upashrutya, listening, learning that Viyat pavanayoho, this Viyat and pavana, space and air, asambhavyamana janmanoho, of which janma is not possible, doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there can be birth of air, space and air, asambhavyamanayoho. So not possible, the janma. Or doesn't seem to be obvious, doesn't seem to be, and therefore something that has to be really dwelled upon, deliberated upon to understand that yes, space also is born, air also is born. Upashrutya brahmanopi bhavet kutasya utpattihidi syat kasyachin matihi. So that throws up a possibility that even Brahman also, of course, of which Janma, the creation, is impossible, meaning it doesn't sound possible at all looking at what Brahman is, but still, if space can be born, if air can be gone, maybe Brahman also. The sambhavana is there. However, Sambhavana itself is not enough. So tatha, therefore a reasoning also is provided. Vikarebhyeva akashadibhya uttaresham vikaranam utpattim upashrutya. So hearing, learning that uttaresham vikaranam, the following vikara, the following modifications, such as air, fire, water, earth, these are all born of the causes, namely space, air, fire, water, which themselves are vikaras. So these are causes. Space is the cause of air, but then space itself is also an effect. So the observation seems to be that whatever is cause also is an effect of something else. So what causes the following stage seems to be an effect of the previous stage. Akashasyapi vikaradeva brahmana utpattiti kachit manyeda. Therefore, somebody may think that Brahman, which is the cause of Akasha, also may be Vikari. If Akasha, that is cause of Vayu, is Vikari, Brahman, which is cause of Akasha also, could as well be Vikari. So this doubt can arise. So then, what is the basis of this doubt? Brahma kutasya jayate karanatvat akashadvat iti anumana anugraha janma shruti. Brahma kutasya jayate. Brahma also is born of something. Karanatvat, because it is karanam, it is the material cause. Akashavat, like the space, which is the cause, also is born. So Brahman, which is cause, also is born. So karanatvam is the hetu, is something that is common. And as the Tikakara said here, both the kinds of Shrutis, this whole chapter, or whole section is meant to reconcile between the apparently contradictory statements of Shruti. Just as earlier, there is a statement which says Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. And then Akasha also is said to be immortal, and Akasha was Sarvagatasya Nitya. So Akasha is said to be Sarvagatam, Nityam, and Amrutam. And so Vayuscha Antarikshamcha Edat Amrutamiti. So these contradictory statements have to be reconciled. In case of Vayu also, similar reasoning applied. In Vayu, the further was what is Eta, Anasaesha, Anastamita, Devata Yadvayu. So in case of Vayu, this further statement also is there, Anastamita, which never sets, which never is found to disappear. So this whole section is meant for a reconciliation of what are the contradictory statements of the Shruti. If the contradiction is real, then the Shruti becomes apramanam. Therefore, we have to resolve the contradiction. However, there is what we call an Ekadeshi, a pseudo-Vedantin, who also wants to establish the pramanyam, the authenticity, or that the Veda Upanishad is the means of knowledge. But his method is different. Of the two contradictory Shrutis, he wants to say that one of them is Gauni, other one is Mukhya. This is his method of reconciliation between the two contradictory looking statements. That one is, in case of Vyat, or the space, what the Chhandogya says is Mukhya, what the Taitya says is Gaunam. So Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha is to be take Gauni Asambhavat. Similarly, the creation of Vayu also, Akasha Vayu, there also is Gauni Shruti. So that's how, then Gauni does not contradict the Mukhya. What is secondary, what is figurative, what is not to be taken literally, what is meant by Gauna is that which should not be taken literally cannot stand in contradiction to what is to be taken literally. But there is apasiddhanta. That method of reconciling is not acceptable to us because Akasha is created. Because that would then contradict other part of the Upanishad. So pratigna, the pratigna hani will take place, the pratigna will be affected. Because eka vijnanena sarva vijnanam. Now if Akasha is not created, if Vayu is not created, then they stand independent of Brahman. In which case, by knowing Brahman, you do not know Akasha. So then, trying to reconcile one way creates problems elsewhere. So we do not, that method of reconciling between the two Shrutis by the method of Ekadeshi is not acceptable to us. So then he also becomes like a Purva Pakshi for us. Tam ashankam apanetum idam sutram. So this ashanka, that Brahma also could very well have been created because Brahman is karanam, like space, air, etc. So, iti ashankam apanetum idam sutram. For removing this doubt is this purpose of this sutra. So, every adhikarana has a unique feature. Adhikarana has vishaya, a subject matter, samshaya, a doubt, and then Purvapaksha, Uttarapaksha and Siddhanta. So either Vishaya must be different, then other Adhikarana can be justified. Or, in case of the previous Adhikarana, the Shanka is different. Or additional Shanka is there, therefore another Adhikarana was justified. Here the Vishaya is different. Brahma itself becomes Vishaya. And the question is whether Brahman is born or not born. Sunnacha anadikarana abhavena anavastha bijankaravad anaditva upapatte. The Purva Pakshi says that anadikarana abhavena. You see, what happens is, if you accept Brahman also as created, earlier it was said that if Atma also has a cause, then there will be Shunyama. So earlier, in case of Veda, it was said that Atma is the ultimate cause, and if Atma also is not there, then there will be Shunyavada. So that was a different way. Here Brahman is the ultimate cause. If Brahman also has a cause, then there is no ultimate cause. So anadi karana abhavena. There must be an anadi karana. There must be a cause which itself is uncaused, otherwise there will be anavastha. So you will not arrive at the ultimate cause at all. And if you do not arrive at ultimate cause, you cannot arrive at the effect. And we see the effect. So the fact that effect is there, universe is there, means there must be a primary cause, which itself must not be caused. So otherwise, anavastha. Says, no. Even if you do not arrive at the fundamental cause, primary cause, still, like bijam karvat, like the seed and the sprout, so that you cannot determine which is earlier, which is later, and still we see the seeds and sprouts being there. So that is anadi. So therefore, anadi parampara is there. Even though anadi karanam is not there, anadi parampara is there. So that also can serve the purpose. Purva Pakshi says. Tasacha deepat deepavat brahmantarad brahmantarotpatti. Another example is, just as from one lamp, another lamp is created, so also from one Brahman, another Brahman can be created. Utpatti shrutyacha anaditva shruti neya. Therefore, that anadi shruti must be explained in keeping with utpatti shruti. What is utpatti shruti? A shruti statement which says Brahman is born. Tvam jato bhavasi vishvato mukha. You are born with faces all over. And therefore, which says Brahman is unborn. So, there are many statements saying that Brahman is unborn, is birthless. But all those statements must be reconciled with the statement which says Brahman is born. Meaning that those statements which say Brahman is not born must be looked upon as secondary statements, and this statement which says Brahman is born is looked upon as primary statement. Therefore, Anadi Ananta Brahma Samanvaya Asiddhi. If that position is accepted that Brahman is created, then Anadi Ananta Brahmani Asamanvaya Asiddhi. Then this section or that statement of Shruti will not talk about Brahman with Anadi and Anantam. It is Adimat Brahma. And therefore, there is no consistency then. Somewhere you say Brahman is beginningless and endless. Here, Brahman has a beginning. Idi prapte mukhya siddhantamaha tam ashankam apanetum idam sutram. This sutra is to remove the doubt. Brahma na jayate karana shunyatvat nar vishanavad. Different logic is applied now. Brahma na jayate karana shunyatvat. He says Brahma jayate karanatvat. Because Brahman is karanam, therefore is born. We say that Brahma na jayate karana shunyatvat. Because Brahma is no karanam. Why is it so? Nara vishanavad. Like the horn on my head, he has no cause. So that which is no cause cannot be born. What can be born? That which is the cause. An effect must necessarily have a cause. If there is no cause, there cannot be an effect. So this is therefore Brahman is not an effect because it does not have a cause. Vyatirikena ghatavat iti. So contrary-wise, like a pot, which has a cause, therefore pot is born. But therefore, that which has no cause, so what we find is that which has a cause is born, like a pot. So whatever we come across, all of these have a cause. All of these have a cause and therefore everything is born. So the rule is that what can be born? That which is a cause. Therefore we say that that which does not have a cause is not born. There is no example of that. There is no Anvaya example. Because whatever we know is all born. Therefore, Vyatirika. So, yan nevam, tan nevam, meaning that that which doesn't have a cause is not born. Iti anumana anugrahat. Therefore, the ajatva shruti, the shruti which says that Brahman is not born, also is supported by this logic. He presented his own logic, saying that this karanatvat is the logic that supports the creation of Brahman. We say that karana shunyatvat is a logic that supports the ajatvam, the birthlessness or beginningless of Brahman. Vipakshe cha akaranaka karyavada prasangat. And if you do not accept a primary cause such as Brahman, then there is no karanam at all. If Brahman is not the primary cause, if Brahman also is a cause, then there is no fundamental cause at all. Akarana karyatva prasangat, karyavada prasangat. Then will be what? Akarana karyavada. A situation where the karya is there without the karanam. And that cannot be. There cannot be karya or effect without the cause, meaning that something cannot happen without a reason. So there cannot be anything which does not have a cause. This is an accepted thing. Except Brahman, which is existence. Anaditva shrutaya baliyasya. So vipaksha dosha also is there. In case of the beginninglessness or causelessness or birthlessness of Brahman, not only there is a supporting logic, at the same time, vipaksha dosha, if that position is not accepted, then there is a fault also. So both ways. Therefore, this anaditva shruti is supported by logic and also it poses a problem if it is not accepted. Vipaksha dosha. Therefore, anaditva shrutaya baliyasya. So anaditva shruti has support both ways. Therefore, they are baliyasya. They are stronger. Iti karanatvalinga badat janma shruti. Karanatvalinga badat. So karanatva is a linga. They said, so karanatva was a hetu. So Brahma kutaschit jayate karanatvat. So karanatvam being cause was a linga, was the evidence presented by them to support the birth of Brahman. But then karanatva linga badha. That Brahman is not born. Therefore karanatvam is not the adequate cause for proving the birth. We say that karanatvam being cause is not the adequate reason for proving the birth of anything. Karya abhedena vyakhyaya. Then how do you explain that Shruti? Tvam jato bhavasi vishvato mukha. That it says, you are born as all of this. How do you explain that? So karya abhedena vyakhyaya. Meaning that all of this is not apart from you. Not that you are born this way, but whatever it is not apart from you. So that is how that Shruti can be explained and reasonably explained. That also you should do. So you find reconciliation between all the Shrutis and give a reasonable and adequate explanation of every statement of Shruti. Not simply depend upon the logic or upapatti or reasoning, but then show also the practicality of every Shruti statement. Iti anadi ananta brahma samanvaya siddhi. Never. In that case, Brahman is anadi anantam. Iti siddhanta phalam. Asiddhi purvapaksha phalam, siddhi siddhanta phalam. Natu hetu asiddhi. Says, how do you say that hetu? So karana our hetu is what? Karana shunyatvat. Brahman cannot be. Brahman is devoid of karanam. It may be karana, but it has no karana. That's our hetu. How do you say Brahman is no karana? Natu na hetu asiddhi. He says that you have to prove that Brahman cannot have cause. Karanasya anirupanat. Because you cannot in any way justify the cause of Brahman. You cannot in any way, with any reasonability, explain or arrive at the cause of Brahman. So asambhavastu. What is it? That it is impossible that Brahman can be born. Because there can be nothing that can be the cause of Brahman. So then, says on the page 514, Ratnavak Tathahi Kim Sanmatrasya Brahmana Sanmatrameva Samanyam Karanam. One position is there, three things. Sat is there, Asat is there, Asat can be non-existence or other than Sat. So Sat and Asat. So existence is there, Asat, non-existence is there, or Asat can be Sad Vilakshanam, meaning that Mithya. So Satyam, Mithya and Tucham, these three categories are there. So let us examine whether any one of these can become the cause of Brahman. Natredhapi, in even this, none of these three ways can anything be the cause of Brahman. So Vashyakara said on page 514, so न खलु ब्रह्मण सदात्मकस्य कुतश्चित् अन्यतः संभव उत्पत्तिः आशंकितव्या. Sadatmakasya brahmana, of Brahman, of which the nature is sat or existence. Kutaschit anyatah. From now the cause must be different from effect. So kutaschit anyatah, from something other than Brahman. You know, for example, clay is the cause of the pot. So clay should be different from pot. Similarly, if there is cause of Brahman, it should be different from Brahman. So kutaschit anyatah sambhavaha utpatti na ashankitavya. It is not possible that Brahman can be born from something other than itself. Kasmat. Says Jnana, Karana Shunyatvam Vishadi Kurvan Prashnapurvakam Sautram Hetum Adatte. That Brahman is Karana Shunyam, devoid of cause. Vishadi Kartam, to bring it clear, to make it clear to us, a question is asked and the answer is given. So let us read that. Kasmat Anupapattehe. So asambhavastu is the pratigna. Anupatte is the hetu. Says Nyaya Brahmano hi. So that's already seen that. So na adya, the first one, that Sat cannot be the cause of Brahman. Bhashyakara says that. Sanmatram hi Brahma. Natasya Sanmatra Deva Utpattis Sambhavati Asati Atishaye Prakriti Vikara Bhava Anupattehe. Natasya Sanmatra Deva Utpatti Sambhavati. So Brahman itself is existence. So existence cannot be born of existence. Samanya cannot be born of Samanya. Vishesha can be born of Samanya. Samanya cannot be born of Samanya. Clay cannot be born of clay. Pot can be born of clay. What is pot? Pot is a Vishesha, a particular state of clay. So when some particularity is there, then alone, so effect must possess some Visheshatvam, some particularity with reference to cause. Then only you can call it cause and effect. So there is clay here and clay there. You cannot say that this clay is the effect of the clay because both are the same. But here there is a pot. Then pot possesses some Visheshatvam, some Vishesha means some peculiarity. Also, the cause must be superior to effect. The material cause must be superior to effect. So asati atishay. Some excellence must be there in the cause compared to the effect. So clay must have some excellence, some superiority with reference to a pot. That clay is more pervasive than the pot is. So therefore, then only clay and pot can enjoy or can have cause and effect relationship. Otherwise, it's not possible. So, natasya, see what beautiful observations there are. The thing is that as you study this and think about it, you get a lot of understanding of life basically. Although this looks like a purely intellectual discussion, but still it deals with our day-to-day life. And so by understanding this, our own thinking becomes clear. And that is Vedanta. Vedanta is clarity of thinking. Because it is said that avichara siddha samsara. Samsara is caused by avichara, by non-thinking or improper thinking. So Vedanta says that proper thinking is the answer to everything. That's all. Proper thinking is proper understanding. A non-understanding or improper understanding is the cause of your suffering, and therefore the right understanding is the answer to your suffering. That's it. This is Vedanta. So therefore, this proper thinking, proper deliberation, proper thinking or proper understanding. That's why Vedanta emphasizes just knowledge. That ignorance is the fundamental problem in our life, and all other problems, all emotion, any other problem is there at any level. And all problems are emotional problems only. Ultimately, suffering is the level of mind, Intellect causes the suffering of the mind, but then intellect means wrong understanding ultimately creates a reaction in the mind. And that's how the poor mind suffers. So sukha dukkha is all in the manas or the mind. And all that arises because of intellect. Sukha also is because of intellect. Because intellect has determined that this is favorable, this is useful, this is therefore in contact of that, in experience of that, mind is happy. An intellect has determined this is a pratikula, this is adversarial, this is not useful, this is hurtful, then the mind suffers, that's all. So mind simply reacts to or responds to, this is Vedanta, mind simply responds to or reacts to the conclusion of the intellect. So Vedanta says that there is no such thing as sukha or dukkha other than it being the reaction of the mind. And the mind reacts based on what the intellect has determined. And so, if the determination of intellect is corrected, then mind's response will change, isn't it? So when we learn things differently, I thought something happened and then I realized it does not happen. I think it was something like this, then I realized not like that, or it is like that. So we know that when our understanding changes, our response also changes. The emotional response also changes as the understanding and intellect changes. Therefore Vedanta addresses the understanding of the intellect. And all of this reasoning process is extremely important because we must know that all the time our mind arrives at conclusions by its own method of reasoning. Our intellect has always a method of reasoning because intellect functions on reasoning. Whether it is the proper reasoning or improper reasoning, but the intellect always has the reasoning on account of which it arrives at a conclusion. And that conclusion then decides what my attitudes are, what my values are, what my responses are all of this determined by the conclusions in the intellect. So intellect is a concluding faculty. And so the conclusion, nischayatmika, adhyavasayatmika, vritti, buddhi. All of this therefore seeks to change our, or correct or clarify our understanding. So na tasya sanmatrareva utpattihi sambhavati. Brahman, which itself is sanmatram or existence, cannot be born of another existence, assuming there can be another existence, but in case. Asati atishaye prakriti vikara bhava anupapatte. Prakriti means cause, vikara means effect. So this cause and effect relationship cannot be unless some atishaya is there, so unless some excellence is there, unless some vishesha is there, some modification is there. But one sat, you can't distinguish one sat from another sat. You can't distinguish light from this tube light, from light to other tube light. So you can't say that this light is born of another light, because there is no vishesha, there is no distinction. So one space can be born of another space and things like that. But the example was given how one lamp is created from another lamp. So says Ratnava, Deepastu, Deepantare, Nimittamiti, Anudaharana. One Deepa is not the material cause of another Deepa, understand. One Deepa is Nimitta for another Deepa. We are talking about Upadana Karana. So when it comes to birth, we are talking about the Upadana Karana. It is not that this fire is born of this fire, this lamp becomes a Nimitta, or the what shall we say, the incidental cause for the creation of the lamp. So it is Anudaharanam. It cannot be presented as Udaharanam for the creation that we are talking about. That fire is not created, fire is caused by this lamp. So second is what? Second was Sat Vishesha. Can that Sat be born from a particular Sat? Can the universal be born of particular? Can the clay be born of pot? So clay cannot be born of clay, because there is no distinction between two clays. And clay can be born of pot. Can it be? So the next one says, Napi sadvisheshad dushta viparyayat samanyadhi visheshaha utpadyamanaha drishyante mrudadehe घटादयः न तु विशेषेभ्यः सामान्यम् नापि सद्विशेषात्. Sat samanyam cannot be born of Sat Vishesham, meaning that Sat, universal Sat, cannot be born of the particular Sat, meaning universal cannot be born of particular, because particular comes after universal. Clay cannot be born of pot because pot is not even there when the clay is there. So how can a non-existent pot give rise to clay? Samanyadi visheshaha utpadyamanaha drishyante. So drishta viparyaya. So that reasoning contradicts our experience. Drishta means what? What we experience. Drishta viparyaya. That conclusion that samanya can be born of vishesha contradicts our experience. So what is your experience? So drishta viparyayam eva sadhayati. How that argument that universal can be born of particular, how it contradicts our experience, Bhashyakara says, samanyadi visheshaha utpadyamanaha drishyante. It is our day-to-day experience that from samanya, the universal, vishesha or particular is born. Mrudadehe ghatadehe, like from clay etc., which are samanya universal, ghata, the particulars are seen to be born. Natu visheshebhya samanyam, but we never find that the clay is born of pot. So samanyat visheshotpatti, natu visheshat samanyotpatti. Meaning that the reasoning that you provide should also be in conformity to our experience. You cannot provide a reasoning that contradicts it, then it just becomes false reasoning. A reasoning that anumanam, that contradicts pratyaksha, No, pratyaksha is prabala pramana. Perception is the strongest because all other pramanas are based on perception. So anumanam is always based on pratyaksha. And so, parvato vandiman dhumatvat, that the mountain or hillock has fire because there is smoke, now then smoke at least is perceived, then you infer the presence of fire. But if your reasoning contradicts the pratyaksha, then anumanam is not strong enough to contradict pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is stronger than anumanam. So what is the word pratyaksha? That we find that from samanya, vishesha is born. The particular is born of universe and not the other way around. Therefore, a reasoning which says that maybe Brahman is born is just throwing away possibilities, this is all kalpana, figment of imagination. Maybe Brahman is born from Jagat, That goes against our experience. Therefore, it cannot be a valid reasoning. See, look at Bhamati. Eduktam bhavati. I'm just looking at it now, But it looks like it's interesting. Yes, svabhavat vichalati tat anirvachaniyam nirvachaniya upadanam yuktam natu viparyaya. Yet svabhavat vichalati tat anirvachaniyam. So that which changes its nature, that which gets distracted from its nature or deviated from its nature, that cannot be true anirvachaniyam. Nirvachaniyam means that which can be defined to be such and such. Says there Bhamatikara, so that which changes can never be defined because by the time you define, it has changed. So we think that the pot is the same, but every moment it changes. And therefore, if you define it one way, next moment is not like that. So recently we read in the newspaper that in England and in many other countries also, they have a standard weight called 1 kilogram, There is one weight and that is kept for so many years, so many decades. So recently the scientists analyzed that with their now modern equipment and found that that kilogram had increased in weight by some micro milligrams or some mini milligram, infinitesimal, mini. Normally you can't make it out, but with very sophisticated instruments you can make it out. So now you can't depend upon it. Now in some 40 countries this weight is there. And so anytime the question you always compare that standard weight. But the standard itself changes, then what happens? You can't define what is kilogram now. Because you don't have any standard for kilogram. So yat svabhavad vichalate tat anirvachaniyam. You cannot say this is kilogram if its nature changes. Similarly in the universe, nothing can be said to be such and such if it undergoes a deviation from the nature. That's called anirvachaniyam, which cannot be defined. Nirvachaniya upadanam yuktam natu viparya. What can be upadanam? What can be material cause? That which can be defined, which is real, can be material cause, not the other way around. Yatha rajju upadana sarpa natu sarpa upadana rajju iti. So rajju can be defined as rajju, but sarpa cannot be defined because it is now there and not later. Therefore, sarpa is something that suffers from a deviation of its nature. So sarpa is anirvachaniya. That cannot be the cause of rajju. Yayostu svabhavad aprachyutihi tayoho nirvachaniyayoho upade upadana abhavaha. But one rajju cannot be the cause of another rajju. So, anirvachaniya can be cause of nirvachaniya. One nirvachaniya can be cause of another nirvachaniya also. Only nirvachaniya can be cause of anirvachaniya. See, this is how it is. Satyam cannot be cause of satyam. Mithya cannot be cause of satyam. Only satyam can be cause of mithya. So, yatha rajju shuktikayoho iti. Rajju cannot be cause of shuktika. Shuktika cannot be cause of rajju. Nacha niridhishthano vibrama iti. For Brahma, some adhishthana must be there. Whatever is created is Brahma. Therefore it must have a real adhishthana. That's how. So Brahman is real. And so it cannot be caused from the real, unreal or non-existent. So then the third one, he says, na trutiya, asadva. Can Brahman or existence be born of non-existence? That's the third alternative. So Bhashyakara says, napi asataha niratmakatvat katham asataha sajjayeta iti cha akshepashravanat. Napi asataha. Sat or existence could not be born of asat or non-existence because niratmakatvad. Non-existence is without a substance. There is no Atma. No substance is non-existence. And therefore, that which doesn't have substance cannot give rise to something which has a substance. Although that's what the Buddhas would say. But we don't find this. In our day-to-day experience, we never find that something substantial is born of unsubstantial. Meaning that some niratmaka means without substance. Not substantial, but without substance. So, a substance cannot be born of something without substance. Something cannot be born of nothing. This is what our experience is. Shruti virodhacha ayam paksha na sambhavati. And this paksha, that sat can be born of asat, existence can be born of non-existence also, is denied in the Shruti. Katham asataha sajjayata. And so Sri Uddalaka said, Hey Shvetaketu, how can sat or existence be born of non-existence? It is akshepa shravanat. So it's not logic also, at the same time Shruti denies it also, both ways. Yuktya hetum upapadya shrutya upapadayati. So what is hetu? Karana shunyatva. So this hetu, asambhava is what? Karana shunyatvam is asambhava in this case. In different, asambhava is different in different cases. In case of gauni asambhava, in case of the asambhava, the yet or space cannot be created because the material, the samvaya karana is not there, or asamvaya karana is not there. In case of pavan also, matarishva also, similar asambhava was there, plus of course anastamita devata. In case of Brahman, what is asambhava? Karana shunyatva. So that's our hetu which is being established here. So karana shunyatva, so Vashyaka says, karana se anirupanat. You cannot in fact determine the cause of Brahman from sat, asat or mithya. So yuktya hetum upadya shuddhya upadayati. By yukti, karana shunyatvam is not possible. I mean, karana shunyatvam is established. Then Shruti also says there is no karanam of Brahman. So the next sentence is Sakaranam karnadhipadhipaha Nachasya kaschid janita nichadhipaha Iti cha brahmanaha janayitaram varayati. Sakaranam karnadhipadhipaha. The Ishvara is karanam, is the cause of everything. Karana adhipa adhipa. Karanadhipa. Karana means all the sense organs. Adhipa is included is jiva. Karanadhipa, the one that is adhipa, the master of the sense organs and mind, is jivatma. Adhipa. Ishvara is the master or the controller also of jiva. So Ishvara is master of jiva, who is also the master of the sense organs. So sometimes the word Ishvara is used for jiva also. As Bhagavad Gita also is, and so Shariram yadavapnodi yachapyutkara matishvara gruhitva itani sanyate. So for jiva also word Ishvara is used there. Because Ishvara is the master and jiva is the master of the individual upadhi. So there was Sakaranam Karanadhipadhipaha. Ishvara is the cause and is the master of the jiva. Nachasya kaschid janitani chadhipaha. Of this Ishvara or Brahman, there is no janita, there is no creator, nor adhipaha or master. He is a creator of everything and master of everything. He doesn't have a creator, does not have master. So this is important. Ultimate cause must be Ishvara, who must be the non-dual, who must be one. Ishvara being, for Ishvara to be Ishvara, he cannot another Ishvara. He must be Swatantra. He must be uncreated, etc. All the arguments can be found in a little booklet called Ishvara, So, the word Ishvara itself, it is shown how Ishvara has to be Swatantra. If he is Paratantra, then he cannot be Ishvara. Iti ja brahmana janayitaram varayati. And so, this Shruti varayati denies. What does it deny? Brahmana janayitaram. That statement from Shvetashvatara Upanishad denies any cause of Brahman. Then say Ratnaprabha, Vyet Pavanayoho Brahmanascha Vivaktatva Avivaktattvabhyam Karanabhava Abhavabhyam Cha Vaishamyam. So Vyet Pavanayoho Brahmanascha Vaishamyam. In this, as respect. So Vyet Pavana, the space and air in one category, and Brahman another category. So space and air also are causes, and Brahman also is cause. In that case, there is similarity. But there is Vishamaha. This is what we call dissimilarity. What's the dissimilarity? Vivaktatva, avivaktattvabhyam. That both space and air are characterized by being separate from other elements, where Brahman is not separate, nothing is separate from Brahman. So there are things that are separate from air and separate from space. There is nothing that is separate from Brahman. So that's the difference between, even though both are causes, in this sense they are different. Also, Karanabhav Abhavabhyam. Both Vyat and the space and air have Karanam, have their cause. Brahman does not have a cause. And therefore, Brahman cannot be placed in the category of Vyat and Pavana. So Bhashyakara said, Vyat Pavanayoho Punaha Utpattif Pradarshita Natu Brahmanassa Asti Iti Vaishamyam. Vyat Pavanayoho Punaha Utpatti Pradarshita. In case of space and air, we have shown how both of them are created. So that was the subject matter of the previous Adhikarana. The earlier Adhikarana established how the Vyat or the space is born. The subsequent Adhikarana established how air is born. So that is now proven. So take that as a basis now, and then you continue the reasoning further. So this is established that Vyat and Pavana, space and air are born or are created, is established. But then you cannot establish the creation of Brahman. So even though Brahman is also a cause and Vyat Pavana also are cause, still, even though that similarity is being there, there are other dissimilarities. Therefore, Brahman cannot be placed in the same category as Vyat and Pavana. Says Nyaya Nirnaya, Vivaktatvam Utpattau Upapattihi. So, Vivaktatvam was presented as the cause for creation. So, Akasha, Vikaraha, Vivaktatvat, Ghatadivat. So that Vivaktatvam was the Upapatti, the reason for being created. Brahmanyapi Tulyam Vivaktatvam Vidashankya Brahmatva Virodhat Maevam. Why not say that Brahman also is different from Jagat? So Brahmatvat. So Brahmatva Virodhat. Brahman will not be Brahman if it is separated from anything. If anything is separate, Brahman is separate from everything. But if anything is separate from Brahman, then Brahman cannot be Brahman. For Brahman to be Brahman, it must be limitless. The word Brahman is derived from the root Bruk in the sense of growth or Vriddhi or greatness. So what is Brahman? Unconditionally great. So Brahman cannot be unconditionally great or limitless if anything stood apart from Brahman. So by the very meaning of the word Brahman, nothing can stand apart from Brahman. So Bhashyakara, Natu Brahmana sa asti. Natu Brahmana sa utpatti asti. Brahman can, because Vivaktatvam is not there. So for the Siddhanta, the main reason for establishing the Utpatti or the creation of anything is Vivaktatvam, is being separated. is the main cause for establishing the creation of something, which is not there in Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is different from Vyat and Pavana. Says Ratnava Karanatva Lingasya Apramanika Anavastha. If you simply go by the linga of Karanatvam, there will be Anavastha. Because Brahman is Karanam, therefore it must have a Karanam. Then Brahman Karanam also is a Karanam, so it must have a Karanam. There will be Anavastha or infinite regression. You see, if you say that Brahman is created, so therefore Brahmana Utpattihi Karanatvat Akashadivat. So you say that Brahman is created because Brahman is cause. In that case, what will happen? Anavastha. Because a cause must have a cause, which must have a cause, and so that is the apramanika. Anavastha is a dosha. And so what suffers from this dosha or the defect of infinite regression cannot be pramanikam. That reasoning cannot be an authentic or a proper reasoning. Yattu tasa ityadau uktam anumanam tad dushayati. You see earlier, the tasa vikarebhyeva akashadibhya uttaresham vikaranam utpattim upashrutya. Same thing. So Vikaradeva Brahmana, so that reason that Brahman is Vikara, because it is a cause, that is Dushayati, Nashayati, Bhashyakara says. So Tarkena Badam. Tarka also, Bada means this denial or negation by reasoning also. Nacha Vikarebhya Vikarantarotpatti darshanat Brahmanopi Vikaratvam Bhavitum arhati iti Mula prakriti anabhyavagame Anavastha prasangat. Vikarebhya Vikarantarotpatti darshanat. So this was the reasoning basically that Purva Pakshi provided. That we find that whatever is the cause is also found to be an effect of some other cause. Therefore, every cause is a vikara. Every cause, effect of course is vikara. But the Purva Pakshi said every cause also is vikara. Because we find that in the case of space, air and other things which are the causes, they themselves also are vikara. So Brahman also being cause also should be vikara. That's a vikarebhya, vikarantarutpatti darshanat. So just because you find that one vikara is born of another vikara, Brahmanopi vikaratvam vaitum on that reason, on that basis, you cannot say that Brahman also is vikara because it is a cause. Mula prakriti anabhivagame anavastha prasangat. In case of Brahman, is mula prakriti. So if you don't, this mula prakriti means what? The primordial cause. So Brahman is presented by Vedanta as primordial cause, and if you don't accept any primordial cause, then anavastha prasangat, as I said earlier, it will lead to infinite regression. So says Bhavati, that's a nirdhisthana brahma parampara anadita ityaha. So says that bijankuruvat, So this anadi parampara is there. Even if anadi cause is not there, anadi parampara can be there. He says no, that's a nirdhisthana brahma parampara. A Brahma must necessarily have adhisthana. So all the paramparas you find in Vyavahara is all mithya. All of them have the adhisthana in Brahman. So wherever Brahma is there, Brahma means wherever delusion is there, projection is there, mithyatma is there must be a satya adhisthana. A true, substratum must be there. So in all Vyavahara you find all paramparas, all of them have the rest time in Brahman. But if you extend it to Brahman, then Brahman itself is Satyam. So where will you find another Satyam? So Niradhisthana Brahma Parampara. So this Brahma Parampara cannot be presented as a reason for the Parampara of Brahman, because the Parampara of Bijankura is Brahma Parampara. Whereas Brahman is Satyam. Satya Parampara cannot be. Brahma Parampara can be there, but Satya Parampara cannot be, because Brahma Parampara has Satya Adhishthanam. Satya Parampara will have what Adhishthanam? Says the Nyaya Nirnaya, tasya karyatvam vadata mula prakritihi abhyugamyate namayati vikalpya. So when you say Brahman is also a karyam or effect, then are you accepting a primordial cause for this creation or not? This is a phenomenal problem. Do you accept that the creation just came like that, or do you accept that creation must have a primordial cause? Iti vikalpya dvitiyam. So if Mula Prakriti na abhyugamyate, don't accept the primordial cause, then Mula iti. So Bhashyakara said, Mula Prakriti anabhyugame anavastha prasangat. If you do not accept a primordial cause, there will be anavastha, infinite regression. It's a fault in reasoning. You see, when we say it is fault, means you can't conceive of it. Can you conceive of a situation when there is no cause? Can you in your intellect or mind think of a situation that something is there without the cause? As the Swamiji says, can you think of a pot without clay? Can you think of cloth without some kind of material? Some fiber. Even if fiber is not there, something like some newspaper can be there. You can have a shirt like Avaraham, etc. So some material must be there. Can you in your mind visualize an effect without the cause? See, logically you can make reason, but that's all false reasoning. If the reasoning is not supported by experience, then where does the reasoning come from? The basis of reasoning should always be in experience. But if you never experience an effect without a material cause, then how can you project that Brahman is without the Brahman effect, all right, without a material cause? Can you visualize it in your mind? You cannot. So therefore, anavastha is something, so these different doshas are there. So, atma shrayatvam is one dosha. One thing created from itself, not possible. Anyonyasha is another dosha. A is created from B and B is created from A. So A is created from A is the atma shraya dosha. A is created from B and B is created from A is anyonyasha. That also is not possible. Now A is created from B and B is created from C and C is created from D and D is created from A. That's called chakratmaka. That also is dosha. And fourth is anavastha. B is created from, as you know, the D is created from C and C is created from B and B is created from A, and like that goes on, anavastha. So these are all four logical faults. If any kind of logic, reasoning involves one of these doshas, then it is only hetu abhasa, meaning it's only false reasoning and not true reasoning. Because the mind cannot visualize any one of these things. You cannot visualize pot being born of pot. You can't visualize that. Nor can you visualize that pot is born of cloth and cloth is born of pot. You can't visualize that, etc., etc. So here the anavastha is a dosha, and because it's not practical, you can't visualize it. Therefore you cannot accept it as a reason which involves anavastha. You cannot accept a reason which involves anavastha. Says Ratnaprabha, Karanasya anabhivagame yadruchavada prasangaha. Karanasya anabhivagame. If you do not accept a karanam, mool karanam, the primordial cause, then what? Yaduchavada. Then there is akasmat. All of these things came without any reason, yadruchavada. So Vedanta says that the cause must reflect itself in the effect. If the primary creation came without any cause, then all subsequent creation also should come without cause. If primary Jagat is born with no reason at all, it's an akasmat. Akasmat means no kasmat, meaning there is no reason. Then same thing should be seen in Jagat also. Because the effect only inherits the properties of the cause. If the cause is without cause, then in Jagat also we should find all causes without cause. Anything can happen. Meaning that you can sow a mango seed and a lemon tree can come out because no cause-effect relation is required. So anything can happen. A human being can give rise to any birth of anybody, because you don't require cause. And a man can be born, human being can be born of a donkey also. But these things never found. We find that a cause gives rise to an effect of its own class. And therefore to accept that this creation without a cause is illogical. So there is this class of people who call themselves atheists, who do not accept Ishvara or primary cause. They are satisfied with this argument, That if God created, well, who created God? Tell us. If you can't answer it, there is no God. Meaning that the creator must be created. Same argument. Brahma is karyam, karanatva. So this yadruchavada is not accepted to us. Because we do not find yadrucha, things happening by themselves without any reason. So when something can be explained of reason, we call it yadrucha. So I don't know, Swamiji, how I came here. It's impossible that I could have been here. Ishvara's grace we call it, but we call it karma. Although it is yadrucha, it will be Ishvara's grace or prarabdha karma. So there also we give always some reasoning. But here, yadrucha means no reason at all. Anadi, karana, anabhivagame, anavastha prasanga. So if you do not accept a cause, then there is yadrucha, meaning that there is no reason for behind anything. You accept a cause, all right, but not a beginningless cause. You see? Anadi, karana, anabhivagame. If you do not accept a beginningless cause, then anavastha prasanga, there is the infinite regression. That abhyuvagame would effect and accept a cause and a beginningless cause. Then brahmavada prasanga. Then you arrive at Brahman, which is a cause and beginningless cause. Even though all other causes are found to have a beginning, there has to be accepted a cause which is a cause of everything, which does not have a cause, which is a beginningless cause. Therefore, what is Ishvara? Beginningless cause or uncaused cause. They ridicule this, You know something? When you talk to them about Ishvara and say, who created Ishvara? Then they say Ishvara is uncaused cause. And then they laugh at this, So they laugh at this kind of terminology. How can there be uncaused cause? That also is true. Uncaused, how can it be? Because all cause is found to have a cause. But if you accept uncaused cause, then that is Brahma. That's what Bhashyakara says. Because karanantarasya pradhanadehi nirasadri bhavaha. Because earlier discussions, we already negated the karanatvam, the causality of prakriti, pradhanam, etc. What is pradhanam? Primordial matter, which is caused. And all those causes are negated. The only cause that is left is Brahman. So Brahman is what? Akarana, karana. So there is no karanam of this. So Bhashyakara says, Ya Mula Prakriti Abhivagamyate Tadevacha Naha Brahma Iti Avirodha. Ya Mula Prakriti Abhivagamyate. And therefore, you accept a Mula Prakriti. And Pradhanam cannot be Mula Prakriti has already been established. Nothing else, or Parmanu cannot be Mula Prakriti, or Pradhanam cannot be Mula Prakriti. Meaning, whatever kinds of propositions that other thinkers have made, that Vaisheshika says that the atoms is the primordial cause, the Sankhya says that Pradhanam is the primordial cause, and Shunya is the primordial. All of these are dismissed from earlier arguments. And therefore, the only thing that is left which can qualify the Mula Prakriti is Brahman. And we will accept the Mula Prakriti, and that will only be Brahman and nothing else. So, Ya Mula Prakriti Abhivagamyate Tadevacha Naha Brahma. That's our Brahman. That's the Mula Prakriti of the primordial cause. Iti Avirodha. And therefore, there is no Virodha there. See what Nyaya says, Evam Karyatva Anumanasya Abhasatvat. So what are the arguments made here? Karyatva Anumanasya Abhasatvat. That Karyatva Anumanam, that Brahman is Karyam, Karanatvat. That is Anumana Abhasa. That is not the true Anumanam. Janma Shrutesya Aupadika Vishayatvat. Tvam jato bhavasi vishvato mukha. That Brahman is born in all this is aupadika. Is merely superimposed upon Brahman, and Brahman is not really born. So even though Shvetashvata seems to say that, oh Lord, you are born with faces all around, that is only aupadika. It is only a superimposition upon Brahman, and not that Brahman undergoes the change to become creation. Akaryatva Anumana Anugruhitatva Anugruhita Ajatva Shrutehe. And the Ajatva Shruti, the Shruti that Brahman is Anadi, Anantam, is supported by the reasoning which says that Brahman is not Karyam. So Baliyastvat, there is a Janma Shruti and Ajanma Shruti. Of that, Ajanma Shruti Baliyasi is stronger because it is supported by Anumanam, which proves that Brahman is birthless. So Shruti also says Brahman is birthless. It is also supported by Anumanam also, which says Brahman is birthless. Itarasyaha tat anurodhitvat itaretara virodhat Virodha anityad brahmana jagat sargam bruvan samanvaya sambhavati upasamari ati avirodha. Itarasya tad anurodhitvad. Janma shruti baliyastvad. The Janma shruti is stronger. Ajanma shruti. Ajatva shruti baliyastvad. Ajatva shruti is stronger. Itarayaha tat anurodhitvat. The Janma Shruti also is, it follows the Ajanma because Janma is merely a superimposition and not a real birth. Itaretara avirodhat. Therefore, the two Shrutis are not opposed to each other. Brahmana jagat sargam bruvan samanvaya. Therefore, Brahmana jagat sargam. The whole Jagat Sargam, the whole Jagat is born of Brahma. Brahman is fifth case. Brahmana Jagat Sargam. Jagat is created from Brahman. It is Samanvaya Sambhavati. And that way, it is Avirodha. There is no Virodha or contradiction between the two Shrutis. That is our position. So Puru Pakshi wants to establish that the two Shrutis are contradicting each other. Avirodha. The Janma Shruti and Ajanma Shruti are not contradictory, both of them can be reconciled. That Janma is in a secondary sense, Ajanma in the primary sense. What do you mean secondary sense? That it is superimposition, Aupadika Janma. Brahman is born, so Aupadika is Upadi that is born, and that is interpreted as birth of Brahman. Just as the pot is born, you can call it the creation of pot space. So it looks like pot space is created, but there is what? Aupadika. It is pot that is created and not the space that is created. So also Brahman is created, is born as this Jagat. It is a Nama Rupadi that is born and not Brahman. It is Avirodha. Therefore, there is no contradiction between the Shruti, Ajanma Shruti and Janma Shruti. So that's how the one sutra forms one adhikarana. That is now concluded here. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shanti 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 Hari